and probably the most famous of those is Galileo Galilei. He was, is he the first person? He's not the first person on record to be using a telescope, but he's quite good artistically. And with the invention of the printing press, observations that he made were widely available across Europe, and so he became pretty famous because of that. What Brahe was able to do was to demonstrate that the heavens were not immutable and unchanging, which is what people had thought beforehand. Because you go out and you have a look at the constellation of Orion, go out every night for the rest of your life and it'll look exactly the same. Unless the star Betelgeuse goes supernova, you won't notice any change in it at all. So they were convinced that the heavens were unchanging. In Brahe's lifetime, in 1572, there was a new star appeared in the sky. He called it a new star, and this is his drawing of it in a book that he wrote about it. The last object, it says Nova Stella, and that's what that means, new star. Today we know that it was a star that was just so faint you couldn't see it with the unaided eye. And then when it blew up, it increased in brightness enough that it was visible to the unaided eye. What he was able to do was prove that it was a star. He made observations of it from one location, moved to another location, and then triangulated the position of it and proved that it was in the realm of the stars. It had no parallax according to his equipment, whereas everything else in the solar system had a parallax. So that was the first real evidence, scientific evidence, that the heavens could change. Once the invention of the telescope occurred, then we began to see more and more stars. So here is a lovely photograph of the band of the Milky Way going across the sky. You see this fuzzy patches in this region of the heavens. It was considered to be a river of light that went across the sky. And then when Galileo pointed his telescope at it, stuff that appeared very fuzzy was just lots and lots of stars. Okay, so you began to see things that the human eye wasn't able to see. And that's really what the breakthrough was with the invention of larger and larger telescopes. Galileo's telescope was a little bit better than the telescope that you've made in class. Okay, how good is your telescope? Does it suck? Have you managed to get a photograph of the moon through it? Have you managed to get a photograph of anything through it? Not yet. Have you seen things through it? Have you noticed things are upside down and back to front? You've noticed that? Okay. With Galileo's telescope, he was able to see stars in the Milky Way. He was able to see the phases of Venus. He was able to see craters and mountains on the moon. He was able to see the moons of Jupiter. Have you been able to see the moons of Jupiter? Have you looked at Saturn? Does Saturn look like a star? Does it look oval? Can you notice the rings? When Galileo looked at it, it looked really weird to him. He thought it was 3 planets. Then telescopes started to get bigger and bigger. William Herschel discovered the planet Uranus with a 6-inch telescope, 6-inch mirror. In the mid-1840s, this English gentleman by the name of William Parsons built the largest telescope in the world at the time. It was a beast of a machine. Leviathan is the name of a beast of the ocean in the Bible. So the telescope became known as the Leviathan of Parsons Town. So the town was named after him. Today it's called Birr. You can go to Birr Castle where he lived and actually look at that telescope today. It is an unwieldy beast. He was able to just lift it up into the air and put it back down again. He couldn't turn it. So it's designed so that it just looks towards the south. That's all it does. And so basically what you need to do in order to view objects is you just lift it up to the correct angle and then you wait for objects to move across your field of view. So you can see it for a brief amount of time. I took some students to see it. That tube is 6 feet